Welcome back to today's video. I'm going to be showing you how to create an unbreakable lower back. And we're going to be starting with gravity line squats. So a few things that are different about gravity line squats are the goal is to almost create space or lengthen the spine instead of working at your legs here. So I want you to imagine that you have a little guy right here on your sacrum who's pulling the sacrum down to the ground. At the same time, you have a little guy that's hooked on the back of your head here, and he has a string going up to the ceiling and he's pulling your head up. This is going to create space within that spine. Now, if you are somebody that has problems with balance or making sure that you have the right form, you can always use a pole or the TRX band like I'm going to be doing today. Now, another thing is a lot of people have problems with how far their feet should be and then also where their toes should point. I want you to play around with this a little bit before, and the rule of thumb is as soon as your knees stop moving forward, then that's when you stop the squat. And I want you to try and alter, having your feet a little bit further away, pointing your toes in, pointing your toes out, to see if you can get a little bit further or a little bit more depth. We're gonna be going to about parallel, and we're gonna be doing about 3 sets of 20. So let's get started. All right. So biomechanically, I actually have to have my feet wider apart and actually point it out so I create space within my hip so my knees can move forward. Now, another thing to do, make sure is that your knees are not caving in or you're not dropping in the arch of your foot while you're moving within your squat. So I also suggest you can kind of put a little setup here like a camera and then watch your form, pause, and see how you can make those corrections. So let's get going. Now, I want you to try and before you hold on, before you make sure you're in the right gravity line, not holding on to these, I'm going to be lifting at my toes, and if I shift backwards, then I need to kind of correct. Let's see, tuck my tail a little bit more. All right, get in my double chin position, shift my weight, perfect. Put my feet down. Lift up my toes, I didn't shift back. All right, I'm in my gravity line. So here we go. Let's do 3 sets of 20. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You work to your range of motion. 8, 9. Remember those little guys. 10. Good. 10 more. 10, 9, 8, 7. It's okay if your knees go forward. You got 5, 4, ooh, got depth. 3, 2, all right, 1, perfect. Come up. We're in about a 10-second rest, and then we're gonna go again. You guys have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments below or feel free to reach out to me. Okay, we're gonna do our next set of 20. Get within your gravity line. All right, ready to go? All right, let's go. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, little corrections, 13, 12, 11, ooh, I'm getting a little further. Got 10, 9, 8, remember those little guys, 7, 6, almost a parallel, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good job, stand up. As you get a little bit more warm, you can go a little bit further. Just remember that we have those little guys. I keep saying it. It's really important, that's why. Last set, and then we're gonna be going down to the ground and doing our good mornings. Whew. All right, here we go. Last set. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you can go a little faster if you need to, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, last one, 20. Perfect, let's go down to the ground. Now we're gonna warm up the back half of the body. This is where all the nerves and facet joints are, and so if you are somebody that has lower back pain, this feels really good opening these spaces up. I want you to put your finger in your belly button and then go about 2 inches below that, and that's where I want you to be rolling and unrolling, or at least thinking that we're going to start off with. So put your hands on your shins, or you can put them underneath your thighs here, wherever feels more comfortable. And when we go down, you're not going to be going up with your abdomen just yet. You're going to be pulling yourself up with your biceps. So rock back and forth, find those sits bones. And I want you to just think about pushing like the sacrum back. So it's just going to be a micro movement. I'm going to go a little bit further just so you can see on camera, and then pull yourself back up. And then do that a few times. So you're just more rocking back and forth on your sits bones. Not going too far back. And now we're going to go to say the top of the sacrum, which is right about here. Go at your own pace. I'm at the top of my sacrum, and I'm going to pull myself up. Now we're going to go to L5S1. So a little bit further. And then pull yourself back up. Now we're going to go to L5, L4. So kind of have that imagination where that belly button is how far you're going to go back. And you can slide your hands down here and then come pull yourself back up. 1 vertebrae above that. L4, L3. Might get a few pops in there. Pull yourself back up. 1 vertebrae above that. We're going all the way to say T12, L1. I kind of like to think about piano keys, you know, or when you're pressing them one by one and then come back up, or pressing them down into the ground. 1 below. Perfect. Doing great. And come back up. All right, pulling yourself up with your biceps. Now we're going to work out the abs. So we're going to be going all the way down and all the way up. And I want you to use as little momentum as humanly possible here, because we don't want the momentum to do the work, we want the abs to do the work. If you do need to engage your biceps or pull yourself up a little bit more, that's perfectly fine. You can stay here, or you can kind of follow along with what we're doing. Now you drop your knees out to the side, and then you can kind of, I don't know, put your fingers in a little bit of a pointing motion. It just helps me get up for some reason. And then same that little action, I'm going to have you start tucking the tail, pushing down 1 vertebrae at a time. I'm a little locked up in my low back, so it looks like I'm going back just all together. You're going to come down, and then you're going to come back up. And I want you to make sure that those feet don't start coming up off the ground. So I'm going to go a little bit faster. We're going to do a set of 10. So down 1, up 2, up 1, down 2, all in control, 3, slow and controlled. 4, 5, 6, slower actually is harder, 7, 8, 9, Last 2. Last 1. All right, perfect. When you come up, just go ahead and try and grow taller. Double chin position, reach the crown of the head to the ceiling. Try and drive that sacrum down. Holding it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Let's move on to stretching that psoas. Now moving on to the psoas muscle. The psoas attaches to the lumbar vertebrae in 2 different positions. So we're going to do 2 different stretches. However, the setup is the same. So we're going to get into a kneeling knight position. I'm going to have my left leg down and I'm going to have my right foot on the ground. You can go ahead and place it a little bit further out just so you have the balance. And then you're going to swing your left leg out into internal rotation. You can also move this leg out a little bit more too, just to make sure that you're balanced.
You're going to take your right arm and put it on your shin.
We're making sure our belt buckle is facing forward, which is code name for our pelvis. If you're somebody that has your hip height on one side, I want you to try and work on dropping the sit bones down. So here's up, dropping the sit bones down. Now I'm going to have you reverse your lumbar curve. So it's a strong tuck. You're going to almost look either like it's going to be changing the shape of the spine or a little bit more straight. Now think about driving that left knee into the ground, and it kind of pushes you forward a little bit. That tuck of the tail and pushing down probably already gives you a nice stretch, but we're going to go forward just slightly or angled forward slightly, and with your left arm you're going to externally rotate for the shoulder joint, push forward, and we're going to start our stretch. 30 seconds on the clock. Double chin position, very strong double chin position here. You're going to reach the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Tuck that tail a little bit stronger. We're almost halfway through our stretch here. Always remember, square up the shoulders, square up the pelvis. Drop that hip down or check that hip and make sure it's not hiking. We got 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax the arm. Relax the gaze, relax the legs, and then we're gonna switch to the other side. So right knee down, you can go ahead and kick it out like a little kickstand. Left foot is down. You're gonna put your left arm onto the shin here. Start tucking that tail very strongly. Externally rotate that right leg. And then you're gonna externally rotate the left shoulder, flex at the wrist, start leaning forward. And we're gonna start 30 seconds here on the clock. Drive that knee down, which drives you forward. You push, imagine right here is where that lower back, that lower psoas attaches to. And we're trying to get that to go forward. This is where it attaches to here. 15 seconds down. Whew. Breathe, reach the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax the arm, relax the legs. Go ahead and get on your knees and then shake it out just a little bit, and we're gonna go do the second psoas stretch. Same setup, but we're going to add a side bend away from the side that we're stretching and a rotation towards the side that we're stretching. All that rotation and all that side bending is coming from the lumbar spine, because if you're moving it from up here, it's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna do anything for the stretch. So you're gonna go ahead and put your right knee down, left leg is forward, internal rotate or external rotation of that foot, internal rotation at the hip. Start tucking that tail strong. Both arms are up this time, and then I'm gonna side bend and rotate towards that leg and push. Double chin, 30 seconds on the clock. Knee down. Side bending to your right, rotating to your left. External rotation from the shoulders, flexion of the wrist. Perfect. 15 seconds down. So you can go into a little bit more of a stretch, a little more of a rotation. Drive that knee down into the ground. 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Come straight. Tilt the torso up. Let go of the arms, let go of the legs. Switch sides. Of course, just a little bit. Left knee down, right foot up. All right, go ahead and drop that hip if you need to. Tuck that tail strongly. Start pushing that knee down into the ground. Go ahead and external rotation of the shoulders. You're going to side bend away from your left side, and then you're gonna rotate. Start the clock. If you need to kick that right foot out just a little bit more for balance, that's okay. Feel free to do so. 15 more seconds. Really reverse that curve as much as you possibly can. Got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back center, tilt back up, relax the arms, relax the legs. Now we're gonna go down on the ground and we're gonna do some negative torsion. So now we're gonna be lying down on our side. If you need to grab your towels to make sure that your neck is not in any sort of flexion, both pointing down or to flex this way, make sure you grab them. Everything is always in line. We're gonna bring our knees together and we're gonna have our hips at 90, knees are at 90. Now, when we're going into the stretch, I wanna make sure that your knees do not lift up or separate. You keep them together, both in line and together. So you're also gonna crunch forward a little bit here into a fetal position, because when you open up, if you don't have this original crunch, then you can put your back into hyperextension. That's not good either. So for 30 seconds, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our hands on our head, and then you're gonna open up like a book. You might get a few pops, and then you're gonna push your elbow away from you, the top elbow. So here we go, 30 seconds on the clock. Just hold and breathe here. Make sure that those knees are staying down. Try and focus on getting your shoulder blade closer to the ground. Perfect, we got about 10 more seconds. A little bit further. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and come back. And then switch to the other side. And you should feel this like the lower back. And then we're gonna move up a little bit more. So get into that fetal position. Your knees are at 90, your hips are at 90. They're both even, stuck together. All right, hands on the top of the head. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, open like a book, open. And push that top elbow away towards the sky or towards the back wall, whatever you are able to get to. Try and see where, if anything is sticky, where it's sticky, and take a mental note, and also just put it in the comments below so that way I know where you're stuck and kind of create a program for you. Got about 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that top elbow back. All right, we're gonna go up a little bit more on the spine. So your bottom leg is going to stay right where it is at that 90, and this top leg you're gonna bring up a little bit. You can kind of get wherever it's most comfortable. If you want to put your shin on top of your leg, that's great. If you want to put it down and that's more comfortable for you, that's fine. Go ahead and put your head on the top, your hand on the top of your head. Nice deep breath in. Exhale, open up. 30 seconds, pointing that elbow away. See where you're feeling it here. Same thing, you might get a few more pops. That's perfect. Creating more space. About 10 more seconds here. Try and see if you can open up a little bit more. 3, 2, 1. Relax, come back. And switch sides again. Moving through this a little faster. Get your pillow. come into that crunch or fetal position. Top or bottom leg at 90, top leg a little bit over, hands on the top of your head. Go ahead and nice take breath in. Exhale, open up, 30 seconds. One side might be a little bit more open than the other. That's okay. You always want to do both sides the same amount of time because you don't want to create any sort of torsion in the opposite direction. 10 more seconds. Make sure we're pushing our elbow up to the ceiling or just towards the wall behind you. 3, 2, 1. Relax. Come back. I'm going to have you roll onto your back here. And then I'm going to have you bring your knees up one at a time. And then I'm going to have you hold on with your shins. And I'm going to have you pull your knees in as much as you can here. Now, your butt's going to be lifting up, and that's what, it's supposed to do. Now, what I want you to do is hold your knees here. Your knees are not going to move, but I want you to try and crush your sacrum to the ground. You might not see any movement that I have, but we're going to hold here for 30 seconds. Crush that sacrum down. Hold those knees in. Breathe. Perfect, about 10 more seconds. Let's see if you can pull in a little bit more, crush that sacrum down a little bit more. 3, 2, 1, relax. Go ahead and put one leg down at a time here. Take like 3 deep breaths in through the belly. Before we move on to our Aldoas. Last one out. Perfect. All right, so we're going to move into our general Aldoa. This is our only moving Aldoa. You're going to bring your knees up, not all the way, but you're just going to go ahead and bring your knees and kind of into a little bit of the tabletop. And you're going to grab your opposite shin with your arm here. Now, the way it's going to work is we're going to have our feet in E version, so we're putting most of the tension on the outside leg here while our body is bent. And we're going to let go with we're going to let go one arm. And as we let go, we're going to go into external rotation with the shoulder and flexion with the wrist. And as we're moving through this leg is going to straighten and go into internal rotation and pseudo inversion. And then we're going to bring it up. Go back into eversion with that foot, and then let go and do it again. With the opposite side. And then up, bend, eversion. All right. We're going to do about 5 of those. The only thing I want to make sure that you don't do is that your knees don't come in. You're trying to stay you're trying to keep each appendage on the right, that right side of the body. So imagine you have an imaginary line going through here. This leg is not going to cross over. All right, chin in. We're going to do 5. So go ahead and let go of your right leg. Your left arm comes up, external rotation, flexion, and you're also pushing your heel away. Come up, bend, come back. All right, let go. 1. 2, just kind of move and flow through it. Make sure your upper or your lower back is not coming off the ground. This is 2. All right, 3. 3. Last one. A lot going on at the same time if you're not perfect on it. The first time, that's okay. Watch it back. And 5. Go ahead and put one foot down. And then the other foot down and come into a seated position for the rest of our L-DOAs. Now moving on to our last 4 L-DOAs. We'll be holding these for 60 seconds, not 30. And we're gonna be doing L3, L4, L3, L2, L2, L1, and L5, S1. We always finish with L5, S1. Now, one thing I want to tell you is if, say, you have problems with your shoulders and one shoulder is a little bit less mobile than the other one, I want you to match the less mobile shoulder with the more mobile shoulder. So you don't want to create a torsion. So if this left arm can only go to here, when you bring up that right arm, even though it can go back to here on that right side, I want you to match it because we don't want to be creating a torsion. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, drop it in the comments below. So onto our first L-DOA, you're gonna have your heels 2/5 width distance apart. And then I want you to bring your heels a little bit closer to your body. I want them as close to the body as you possibly can without having a rounded back. So you're sitting up nice and straight. So you're going to create an E version with that foot. So you're gonna create more of the tension on the outside leg, and I'm also driving the inside arches down to the ground. You're gonna be focusing on pushing your knees down. You don't have to have them flat, just as much as you can possibly do. And then you're gonna get up as straight as possible, double chin position, axial extension, external rotation of the shoulder joint, flexion at the wrist, and you're gonna go straight up overhead, and we're gonna hold here for 60 seconds. Remember to breathe. Don't create an extension in that thoracic spine. Nice, soft rib cage. Create that tension, and it's right about that belly button. Everything below the belly button is pushing down to the ground. Everything above the belly button is reaching up to create that space in between that joint and in between that vertebrae. Good job. Palms going up to the ceiling. Crown of the head going up to the ceiling. Pushing the inside arches of the feet down, lifting up the outside arches. Pushing the knees down. We're in our last home stretch here. Try and create a little bit more space. Ratchet up that tension. Got 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and relax the arms. Keep the tension in the legs. Relax the tension in the legs. Relax the gaze. You should always be looking down your nose, right into a space about, say, 5 feet in front of you. All right, moving up the spine, you can go ahead and put your feet a little bit out, a little bit more, still to that 2/5 width distance apart. And when we bring up our arms this time, it's gonna go more into that wide position. So rock back and forth. Create or sit right on the sit bones, line up nice and tall. Start ratcheting up the tension and in the feet, creating tension in the outside arch. Go ahead and put the knees down, double chin position, external rotation with the shoulders, and then go ahead and bring up into that wide position, flexion of the wrist, and create tension up the crown of the head, reaching to the ceiling. Our 30 seconds started about 10 seconds ago. Didn't want you to think that I forgot to start the timer. You also might feel this, even though you might not feel it in the vertebrae, the lumbar vertebrae, you might feel this in between your shoulder blades. Just having the arms up overhead and reaching the palms up to the ceiling. Already halfway through. Remember to breathe. Try and keep those eyes open, gazing about 5 feet in front of you. Perfect, we're in our home stretch here. Try and push those knees down. Feet flexed. Got 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. the arms, roll the shoulders, relax the legs. This time you can kind of straighten them out, shake them out. Perfect. Now we're going to open our legs into a Y position, and our arms are also going to be matching in that Y position. Now, instead of having that E version and creating tension on the outside, we're going to be internally rotating. So I just want you to do internal rotation from the hip here and flex the feet, push the heels away. Now relax the feet, relax the tension in the hips. We're going to do that again. Internal rotation from the hips, flex the feet, draw the big toes towards the opposite shoulders, push the heels away. We're going to hold it here. External rotation from the shoulder joints. Let's flex the wrist and bring them up into that Y position. And here we go, pushing for 60 seconds. Didn't want to cheat you there. Double chin position, reaching the crown of the head up to the ceiling. Run down that checklist. Let's try and do internal rotation at both hips. See if one hip has a little bit more internal rotation and try and match it. Try and push those heels away. Really gel those big toes up. Create that pseudo inversion. Always breathing. Good job. We're over halfway here. Try and go into your maximum stretch. Internal rotation, flexion, pseudo inversion, heels away. Crown of the head to the ceiling. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax the arms, keep the tension in the legs. Relax the tension in the legs and relax the gaze. Last one, we're gonna move and put our legs up the wall. Hopefully this one looks familiar. We're gonna go ahead and get as close to the wall as possible, and then as you lower down, swing the legs around, and you can kind of scoot your booty as close to the wall as possible, as long as the sacrum is down on the ground. If you need to bend your knees in order to get the booty as close to the wall as possible and have the sacrum down on the ground, that's perfectly fine as well. So go ahead and spread your feet a little bit. You're going to be looking right around here in between your knees. I just want you to do internal and external rotation to start at the hip. Do it 2 or 3 times. And then hold it there. If you also need to get a pillow for your neck here to make sure that your neck is in line, please make sure to do that. We're going to start flexing our feet, and our big toes are going to go point towards our opposite shoulders while our sacrum standing on the ground or staying on the ground. Start lifting the heels up, 60 seconds. External rotation at the shoulders, flexion at the wrist, and lower your arms down in line with your ears. This is L5, S1. Keep pushing your palms away from you, the crown of your head away from you, getting into that double chin position. Always working hard to keep that internal rotation at the hip. Drive those heels up to the ceiling. Everything stays on the ground. We're 40 seconds down, 20 seconds to go. Perfect. Almost there. Go into your maximum stretch. Create that space. 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax the arms. Keep the gaze and the tension in the legs. Release the tension in the legs. And release the gaze. You can either hang out here and breathe for a few seconds. Or you can bend the knees. Walk them down the walls. And then roll to the side. And push yourself up to the seated position. There is no wrong or right amount of times to do this in a week. You can do it every day, whatever you feel is comfortable. If you ever have any sort of pain, make sure you leave in the comments below or reach out to me, and then we'll try and see what's going on and set up a one-on-one call. Thanks for joining today, and see you in the next video.